Are you moving to Northern Virginia and you have no idea where to live? With so many great neighborhoods, school districts, price points, and commute options to choose from, it can feel very overwhelming fast. So in this video, I'm breaking down 7 vital tips and strategies to help you decide where to live in Northern Virginia. And make sure you watch this video all the way to the end, because tip number 7 is a game changer that most people overlook when deciding where to live. And you're not gonna wanna miss it, so let's dive right into it. Boom! Hey everybody, it's David, your favorite realtor. So hands down, the hardest part about relocating to Northern Virginia is deciding where to live. Especially since Northern Virginia is a massive sized area. In fact, Northern Virginia is so big, it's bigger than the entire state of Rhode Island. And if Northern Virginia was its own city, it would be the 4th largest city by land size in the entire country. And if you break down Northern Virginia into its 4 major counties, with Arlington, Fairfax, Loudoun, and Prince William, well, each county is gonna have a completely different feel, price points, different levels of traffic, and lifestyle. So following these tips and strategies will immediately eliminate 75% of the region from your search, which will narrow down your search radius from the whole map of Northern Virginia down to an individual county or suburb, which ultimately will help you find the best location overall for you and your family. So let's get it started with the first tip and strategy to help you decide where to live in Northern Virginia with: anchor your search to your workplace. One of the biggest mistakes people make is underestimating our long commute times during rush hour. So if you do have to travel into the office 4 to 5 days a week, then your job location should literally be your starting point. So let's say you're gonna be working at the Pentagon in Arlington. Well, living all the way out in Gainesville is gonna look very affordable on paper. However, that daily commute from Gainesville to the Pentagon is gonna wear you down very quickly, as that commute can easily be anywhere from 60 to 75 minutes each way. So you gotta ask yourself this question: what's my tolerance for traffic and commute time? Well, a good rule of thumb for most people I talk to is they wanna be within 30 to 45 minutes from their office. So literally, this is what you do. Draw a rough radius around your workplace, and this alone will narrow down your search dramatically and save you a ton of frustration. So where your office is gonna be located, plus your commute tolerance, well, this is gonna be a great starting point on helping you decide where to live. Now, the next tip and strategy is let your budget narrow down the map. So without question, your housing budget is one of the biggest drivers of where you can realistically live. And a good rule of thumb is the closer you get to Washington, D.C., the more expensive housing gets. And this goes for both buying and renting. So let's say you relocate into the area and you got a luxury budget of $2.5 million. Well, at this price point, you're gonna have your pick of the litter. You can basically live anywhere in Northern Virginia and get the style of home you want as well. However, most people are not in this situation. Now let's say you're relocating here with a $900,000 budget, and you must have a 3,000 plus square foot single family home with a 2-car garage that was built in the past 25 years. So this criteria alone is gonna rule out of a lot of areas quickly. So you can basically cross off all of Arlington County and most of Fairfax County off your list. But in Prince William County and Western Loudoun County, this criteria is very doable. So in this scenario, now you can focus on picking the best available neighborhood in those areas. So the key takeaway is when you combine where your office is gonna be located, plus your housing budget, plus the style of home you want, plus your commute tolerance, well, this will naturally point you towards the right pockets of Northern Virginia. Now, the next tip is utilize niche.com and county websites the right way. So websites like niche.com is a fantastic tool, which I even use for my own research for my videos, as niche.com is going to give you a feel for schools, neighborhoods, and rankings like best places to live, best suburbs, best school districts, things like that. Then you can check out each county's official website and tourism pages that highlight the fun activities to do, like parks, trails, best restaurants, events, and community amenities. It's an easy way to see if an area's lifestyle lines up with what you want your day-to-day to look like. Now, I will say this, you're only gonna find surface level information on these websites, but they are gonna be a great starting point. However, don't treat any of these websites, especially niche.com, as gospel. So I'll leave a link to all these websites in the description. The next tip is match your lifestyle to the right area. So Northern Virginia as a whole is definitely not a one-size-fits-all, as you're gonna find many different styles of living throughout a region, including urban living with high-rise condos and great walkability. Then you have suburban living with master plan communities that are great for raising a family. And then you have quiet, rural living with farms and wineries. And all of these different styles of living are all gonna be within 50 miles of Washington, D.C. For example, let's say you're a 30-year-old single professional who's gonna be working in the Arlington area, and you wanna meet people your age, plus you wanna be walking distance to bars and restaurants. Well, you're probably not gonna wanna live in the suburbs like in the Aldi South Riding area, because those areas are more geared towards families. So in this situation, you're gonna wanna live in Arlington County. Or you're a family of 5 relocating to the area and you wanna focus on suburban living with highly rated schools, great neighborhood for raising a family, and getting the best value possible. Well, areas in Loudoun County like Ashburn, Aldi, and Bramlington may be a great fit. Or you're relocating to the area for a tech job in Reston and you wanna be close to restaurants, metro station, and the airport. Well, living in Reston Town Center would be perfect for this situation. Or you want to live as far away from the hustle and bustle of DC, and you want quiet, rural living with big homes on private lots, then Western Loudoun County may be perfect for you. So once you're clear in your lifestyle and non-negotiables, it becomes so much easier to zoom in on the right neighborhoods instead of trying to evaluate the entire map. Now the next tip is consider renting first. So I'm a big believer of owning versus renting, especially in the long term. However, there's some exceptions to the rule where renting actually makes more sense than buying, and relocating to a brand new area is one of them. For example, I've never been to Denver, Colorado. I know zero about Denver, Colorado, but if you told me I'm relocating there tomorrow, well, guess what? I'm 100% gonna rent first just because I don't know the area at all. Well, in this scenario, I would personally do a short-term lease of 6 months instead of a long-term lease of 12 to 24 months. And the reason why I'm gonna pick a short-term lease is I wanna get to my forever home as fast as possible because as you know, moving is not fun and I wanna get to my final destination as quickly as possible. So during your 6 to 12 month lease, you can learn the area inside and out, not just Google Maps. You can test the commutes, check out schools in person, and you can confirm you actually like a certain neighborhood before locking in a purchase. So you can really take your time with your home search so that way you make no mistakes. Because the last thing you want to do is buy a home in a neighborhood that you just don't like and have to sell in 1 year. And if you're selling after 1 year, you're gonna lose money between taxes and fees. However, had you been renting that exact same house, you could just leave once the lease ends and then move to your desired neighborhood. So renting first sometimes can be the smart move and safety net that saves you money and stress in the long run. The next tip is leverage my YouTube channel. So since you're currently watching this video, you're already using one of the best resources available. So in the last 5+ years, I filmed hundreds of videos on what it's like living in Northern Virginia, top neighborhoods, pros and cons, cost of living, top suburbs, drone tours, and a lot more. And my goal is simple, give you as much real, local insight as possible so you can make a confident decision. But watching my YouTube videos will only take you so far, so the best next step is to reach out to me directly. So give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and we can jump on a quick Zoom call and talk through your goals, your budget, your timing, your must-haves, and I'll help build you a custom game plan so that your move to Northern Virginia will be as easy and smooth as possible. Now the next tip is, and this is the best overall tip I can give anyone, and if you can only remember one thing from this video, remember this: come here for a scouting trip. Especially if you're not familiar with this area. And when you come for the scouting trip, come for at least a long weekend, but the longer the better. So when you're here for your scouting trip, you can drive through neighborhoods you've been researching, visit town centers you think you'll frequent, see how the schools, parks, shops, and commutes actually feel in real life. And when you're in town, talk to the locals. Talk to the bartender, talk to the server, talk to the barista, and ask them, what do you love about living in this area? And what don't you love about living in this area? And I'll tell you this, locals, they're not gonna sugarcoat anything at all. And all of this is gonna help you pinpoint areas that you like, and more importantly, areas you don't like. I've had so many clients who are convinced they only wanted to live in one specific area until they came here for their scouting trip, saw it in person, and realized another spot felt way more like home. Because the last thing you wanna do is move here without ever coming for a scouting trip in advance and end up living in a house and neighborhood that you just don't like, or even worse, realizing Northern Virginia just isn't for you at all. And you want to determine this before moving here, not after. And you can never live too far away to come for a scouting trip. In fact, I had a family last year relocating all the way from Hawaii, and they came here for a scouting trip for 9 full days. And during those 9 days, they scouted the whole region, and they were able to pinpoint the exact neighborhood they wanted to live in. And this I can say for certain, had they never came here for the scouting trip, they would not have picked this neighborhood. And I remember them telling me after they bought their home, David, us coming here for a scouting trip was by far the best decision we made in terms of helping us decide where to live. So yes, a scouting trip will teach you more in a few days than months of research online. And it can be the difference between wow, we're so glad we chose this area, or we can't believe we're stuck here. So yes, coming here for a scouting trip in advance, this is not a suggestion. This is a rule that you 100% must follow. So yes, deciding where to live in Northern Virginia can be a very overwhelming process. So if you do 4 to 5 of these strategies before moving here, it's gonna make your relocation to Northern Virginia so much easier. And if you want to learn more about living right here in Northern Virginia, check out these videos right here. They'll be great ways to continue your research. And I'll see you in the next video.